Welcome to the Small Business Planning Week, day 4. We've made it through 3 days of deep thought and analysis to get your small business ready for 2021. On day 4, sponsored by Bank 59 and the Idea Collective, we are going to go inside your head and talk about personal and professional growth and the growth of your team. I'm your host, Pat Miller, the Idea Coach, and we are going to talk about some things that maybe we don't spend a lot of time on sometimes, the skills that we can develop, the things that we should spend more time on. And we're going to explore the concept of having a team, even if you don't have one. So if you're a solopreneur and you're like, I don't have a team, I don't need that part. Liz Watson's got a great idea and a thought exercise for you that will be aspirational and will help you get ahead. Speaking of Liz Watson, she's the leader on the Impact Trail, and she is our expert presenter of the week. And everyone else that you'll see today on camera, they are all members of the Idea Collective collaboration group for small business owners. You see, we created this place for small business owners to all get together and kind of co-work and collaborate and help each other grow. And the people inside the group are so smart and so giving and so fired up. They've created almost an unfair advantage for everybody inside the group. So if you're interested, check out ideacoachmedia.com/idea. We'll put that in the comments of the video as well. This show, as well as the previous days of Small Business Planning Week, are all loaded onto the Idea Collective YouTube page as well. So if you missed one of the previous days talking about mission, vision, values, operations, marketing, product, I think that's almost all of it. We've covered a lot of ground. All of those videos are for free up inside the YouTube page for the Idea Collective. So if you're tuning in for the first time and you don't have the workbook, you should have it because Liz put together a great workbook to help us track along with her and take notes as we go. And we are looking for your questions. As you're listening today, drop into the chat. If you have a question, we'll incorporate it in our conversation with all of our expert presenters today. Last thing before we bring Liz on, tomorrow is going to be a recap day. So with all of the stuff that we're covering, there might be a thing or two that you'd like to ask a few questions on. That's what tomorrow is all about. So join us on Friday at noon, and you can get your questions answered from the experts here during Small Business Planning Week. With that, let's get down to beeswax. Let's welcome our presenter, Liz Watson, the leader on the Impact Trail. Liz, day 4. How you doing?
Ooh, day 4, still feeling energized. And this group that's been hanging with us all week is fantastic. So let's keep it going.
Absolutely. So yesterday we covered yesterday we covered products and visibility. Thinking back on how that went, what were some of your big picture takeaways from yesterday?
Oh, boy. You know what I love by bringing in all these experts is there's always something you haven't thought of before, right? And, the focus on visibility, which is not about, hey, pay attention to me, pay attention to what my company is. It's really you turning it around and really just connecting with others and how that takes you so far. I loved that discussion. And products too. I think everybody's got a lot of great ideas on when they think about their products, what they could do and shift to make it even better. So yeah, lots of good nuggets.
Today we're kind of changing it up. We're going away from tactics and strategy and more into personal growth, both our personal growth, professional growth, and team growth. So what are we going to cover today?
So let's talk about team growth first, and then we're going to move into the personal professional development. So, like you said, team, even if you think you don't have a team, you do. We're going to talk about things related to team growth, whether you have some or not, and then jump into the professional and personal stuff.
Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to
Let's
go
start with
over?
team growth.
Okay, perfect place. So lead us on team growth. What do you got?
All right. Think about it this way. What is the talent that you need to bring in onto your team to help you grow and scale your business? And we also want to talk about once you do have team members, really how do you best support them? Creating a great culture, recognizing them, making them truly feel a part of the team, whether they're employees or not. So speaking of that, when we talk about team, we're talking about that mix. the contractors that you bring on to support you, and also when you get to that point, the employees that you would bring on. Think of it as all the people that you really need to lock arms with to make sure you tackle that mission that you have established that we talked about a couple of days ago. Um, when I think of team, especially with contractors, you want to think through, are there folks that might make sense to bring on in a retainer role, which means, for example, on a monthly basis, they work with your company to help deliver something? Or maybe they're just brought on for a specific project that you have, that you need that additional expertise that you don't currently have within yourself or within your current team to help make something happen. I certainly find that companies will start out with more of a generalist sometimes as they bring on a new team member. But then, as you're going to find, as your revenue grows, you're going to be able to bring on more specialists that you need. So, how do you know what talents you should bring in? What are the skill sets? What are the things that you need? It's a mix of things, but first start considering things that you don't enjoy doing in the role that you're playing right now in your business. What don't you like? Or what are things that are difficult for you? So, yeah, you know you have to do them and you can do them, but when it gets time to do them, it's drudgery or it's very difficult for you to do. You also want to think about things that maybe you can do them, but maybe they're not helping your company make money. So should you, as the small business owner, really be spending time on those things? So those are a couple of key categories: what you don't enjoy doing, things that are difficult, or things that really aren't helping you bring in the revenue that you need. So I wanted to share an example for me when I think through those things, and when I looked at what are those strategies I've set when I thought about visibility. I'm a new small business. I need to be more visible. What do I need to do that? Well, for me, it was I need to put a brand together. Well, I'm the project manager. I'm the one in the details. So for me, and I've been corrected, I didn't see myself as a creative person. I'm creative in the gifts that I have, and I can geek out and all that stuff. But when it comes to coming up with a brand, that's where I knew I needed some help. So in this example, Pat helped me establish a company name. Teresa Wilmot, she helped me come up with a brand identity and then a logo and the colors and the good stuff to go around it. And Stacy Cott helped me get a professional photo done, which matched me and my personality. So even for me, starting out, I needed to engage a team to help me just in that one area of my brand. So that's one example I wanted to share. And here's one of my favorite quotes around you being a CEO. It is from Sandra Yancey of the eWomen Network. Your job as CEO, and several of you probably know this quote, your job as CEO is to only do the things that only you can do. So it's thinking about that and challenging yourself to think about those items. What have you put strategies in place for when you think about visibility, like I said, or your products or what you want to do? What are those things that you should stick with and keep doing? Because as the leader of your organization, it makes sense for you to hold those. But pause and reflect, and not just reflect, but write down all the things that you're doing that you know what someone else could do more easily. They have the expertise, or it just makes sense that I shouldn't, as the CEO of my company, be spending time on. So, Pat, we talked about a few topics as we were putting this section together. And one of them, as you mentioned, maybe you're not paying people right now to be on your team. Because usually people think about that, right? Well, if I have a team, that means I'm paying somebody. Well, it may not be. So we talked about, you want to think about, well, who are you spending your time with? it's not limited to those you pay. It's those that you go to for advice or support or a laugh or a glass of wine. Um, Consider who might be your board of directors, people that you go to for insight. Surround yourself with people that are really interested in seeing you succeed, not only in your business, but also as a person, and interested in helping you grow. But certainly caution, don't overstay your welcome, right? Make sure you're giving back in return if you're working with people. And Pat, I've heard you say in the past that you consider Jennifer Buchholz your business BFF.
Heck yeah. Got to have a business BFF. There's none better than JB. She's a perfect complement for what I do.
So tell me what that means to you. What does that term mean to you, or how does that apply?
Yeah, what it means to me is someone that is inherently strong where I'm weak. So at the being very analytical of it. Jennifer is very dialed into technology, very dialed into problem solving, very uh, dialed into the details of how to get stuff done. And those are the things that make me want to jump off a bridge. I like coming up with concepts and then having people do the stuff. JB is really good at making things happen through technology and through the way that she solves problems. Not to mention, I enjoy her personality, and we are of like mind strategically. Like, we vibe when it comes to doing business. And then the reason why the relationship works is I can help her with thinking big. I can help her with growing her brands. I can help her when it comes to making her business better. So for me, I feel like I got lucky, but we just have the best business relationship, and that's where the business BFF thing came from. And I everyone should have a business BFF. Find one and guard that relationship because it really makes a difference.
Great. Thank you for sharing about that, because
Sure.
I think that's, yeah, and it's evident, what the benefit that that's had on both sides. So that's really fantastic. Um, a couple or one more topic I guess I want to bring up, before we bring on some of the other experts, is as we think about a team, a lot of times we talk about an organizational chart, right? Especially in corporate, that's kind of a big deal. But even with your small business, thinking through who's on your team. So I want to speak on this a little bit because it's really all about helping you determine who's the next right hire in your business. Because that's usually the typical question, not, I need this big, huge team and layers and layers. It's, who should I hire next to truly help me reach the goals either I've set for next year, or to get me making sure I'm delivering on the mission that I say my business is about. So sometimes it helps though to not, if you're looking at what's the next hire, maybe it's looking at, well, what do I need to help me make that mission happen? Or also considering that vision, right, which we talked about, was longer, 2 to 5 years out. If I envision my company in this way, what roles, what talents, what skills might be needed to help me get there? And either thinking through, might make sense this coming year to start bringing on a role in some capacity that could help me get towards vision, or it's, I know I've got these big projects I want to get done in this next year to meet my goals. Now I'm realizing the talents I need to help make that happen and plotting that out. So it's, excuse me. So it's a mix of the mission and the vision, and looking at that. Really understanding where you want to go, and then what are some of the members. So like we talked about, it's that mix of contractors or vendors you want to engage with, to really help you move forward and tackle those goals that you have. So if you haven't thought through that before, I wanted to bring that up because that may be a placeholder in your plan for next year to pause and think about, what are the talents that I need, and either make it a visual org chart or just a list, whatever makes sense to get it out of your head and down, that these are the next kind of roles that will make sense for me, and start building relationships, or start connecting with others and collaborating to know who can help you in that space.
And it starts to make it real. when you make an org chart, it's like, oh, that's how I get to my big hairy goal is I need to hire this and then I need to hire that. And it kind of gives you a recipe to get there. Plus, it's something you can hang on the wall and get pretty fired up. Like, wow, I'm this much closer to hiring a full-blown director of operations or whatever the next hire might be. That's energizing. And that's something you'll see every day and it'll get you closer to it.
Exactly. That's another great benefit for sure.
Well, with all these people, business BFFs, VAs that you might hire, contract employees, or full blown employees, you need to take care of them. So, should we talk about team recognition?
Let's do it.
All right, great. Let's bring onto the call here Erin Hinkle. She's with Build Rise HR to be our expert on team recognition. Erin, thanks for coming on. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for making this day about this whole topic. It's largely either underestimated or maybe one of the most difficult things to make time for, both in recognition and growth of ourselves and recognition and growth of our teams. So thanks for devoting a day to it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Erin. So, because the group we're focusing on is small business owners, would love to get your insight on as you're talking to other small business owners. What are the kinds of things that you're encouraging them to think about or plan for when it comes to those topics?
Absolutely. And forgive me for my work from home scenario where I'm sharing space.
You are all
I
good.
apologize. I thought I was going to be in a room alone for a little while. Okay, so I'm really grateful I got to hear you speak, Liz, about the perspectives that you shared because it got me thinking more about appreciation, growth, recognition, not just of the people that we're employing full time, but also our contractors. Give me 1 second. I apologize. I need to turn on a lamp here. Because as a contractor, and I think a lot of the folks that are on this call might have experience with this as well. When we're thinking about appreciation and respect, growth and development, we might be thinking only about, what are the ways that I can be saying thank you? What are ways that I can be showing gratitude? I think a really powerful way to consider appreciation as small business owners who are engaging with contractors is really understanding through work, probably with folks like you, Liz, and others perhaps on the call who are strategists, to understand what is the value of the work I'm trying to contract to the business that I do, such that when I engage in conversations with potential contractors or even potential employees, part-time, full-time, I have a clear understanding of the financial investment I might need to make in their expertise. And I think that if you really want to hit appreciation on the head, especially with contractors, beginning there is a really powerful place. A second area that came to mind for me while you were speaking, Liz, is about, as CEOs or as founders, we take on a lot. And whether I am working with the CEO of a 10-person company, 25-person company, or even a 25,000-person company, something I experience is that, sometimes it's difficult for executive leaders to allow others to be the experts that they have hired them to be. There is a lot of deep investment at a senior leadership level, whether you're a founder or a CEO of a company you did not found. It can be difficult to let go of things. And so when we're bringing in leaders or even replacing leaders, or we're a new leader ourselves, really working hard, doing your personal developmental work, and that's professional and I think on an internal personal level, to do what you've got to do to make space for people to really exercise their leadership and expertise, to take things off your plate, but also to make your company even better and to do what you've hired them to do. You mentioned culture a few times, and if we're talking a little bit more about team growth, team opportunity, team acknowledgement, rooting that in your values is really important. And there was a company that I was connected to not long ago that is a cycling company. They produce bikes for people who like to do mountain biking and races and things like that. And so part of their appreciation program was giving a bike to every employee 1 year in particular. So every employee got to get a bike that was valued at many, many thousands of dollars. So that was a really huge one. But also they do bike giveaways over the holidays. So they go to schools, and with how they're doing it this year, I'm not quite sure, but schools, shelters, community centers, etc. And they're giving away their product, but they're including their employees in that experience as well. Of course, if you're a product driven company, if you're a consumer based company, then you're going to be doing a lot probably with discounts and things like that. But rooting it in your values as much as possible is always a really great way to help you understand what are some avenues of appreciation that might be able to fit all sorts of budgets. Then being aware of how people like to be recognized and developed. I'll start with recognition first. Believe it or not, I have, with permission from the companies I've worked with, I've had teams take the assessment of love language. So there's something called the 5 love languages, and they consist of acts of service, words of affirmation, gift giving, quality time, and physical touch. Now, physical touch is likely off the table in our context here today. However, what I learned through engaging teams in that way is that sometimes people don't really want to be called out, even in a great way, at a meeting or in the newsletter or whatever the case may be. Maybe they would appreciate, a half day off if that's something that can be spared. Maybe they would appreciate a small gift certificate to get lunch one day, or a small Amazon gift card, things like that. So understanding, or even for words of affirmation, maybe whenever you're giving that person feedback, making sure that they understand that they're appreciated before launching into how you would like to see things change. For people for whom words of affirmation is really important, having that positive on either one side of the feedback or the other can help them receive the critique a little bit more accessibly. Obviously, yes. Sorry, did you want to say something, Liz?
No, those are so many great examples of things that you're bringing up to think about, right? Team recognition culture, right? It's a big category, right? But these are really good, insightful pieces that if people think about, right, even with the, maybe I need to carve out a little space to figure out how I am going to understand. You mentioned that love language example, but maybe it's how do I want to best understand how they would like to be recognized? Yeah. And saying, you know what, in January, that makes sense for me to do that and find that out, so that as I move forward throughout the year, then maybe I can put some placeholders in. Maybe there's going to be a big project that comes up and you realize, boy, there might be some good recognition opportunity there. I know now what's going to help them feel that recognition, and great, I'll be ready to implement that when that project's done in July, for example. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even have to do these assessments. Depending on the size of your team, you can always just ask people how they enjoy being appreciated and recognized.
Exactly. Great.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to know how Erin likes to be recognized, because we're grateful for your support today. So how do you like being recognized? Should we say you were awesome? Should we send you a gift? What should we do for you?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I like both words of affirmation and gifts, but we can just go words of affirmation.
All right.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Hashtag you're awesome. Erin Hinkle from Build
Thank you.
Rising HR.
No,
Thanks for coming
thank
on.
you so much. All
It's
right.
our pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. So, Liz, we're going to move on to professional and personal growth now, more for the individual. What do you want to cover here?
Really to cover thinking about ways that you can grow yourself to be the leader that you need to be for your organization, but all the while still considering what you need to take care of yourself from a physical and mental health perspective. So part of it is thinking about things that you can invest in yourself that will help you personally and professionally, which ultimately is going to help your business grow and move forward. I recall earlier in the week, someone brought up the topic of boundaries. And I think this really applies here, because it's making sure you have set guardrails around your work schedule or how you work with people. or your team so that they know that. So I certainly encourage, if you haven't set boundaries, and that may be, these are my working hours, or these are the times when I take client meetings. I don't work on weekends, or whatever it may be to you of what your boundaries are. If you haven't thought through that, do so. Do that for yourself, and then make sure those around you, which could include those you live with, those that you serve as your customers and clients, and your team members, truly understand that. Then people aren't going to feel like they're not sure if they should reach out because of they're not clear on what your boundaries are. And it's certainly going to help you from a personal perspective. No, it's okay to shut things down, because you do need to shut things down. And I'm sure we'll have some experts today to talk about taking care of yourself. But I wanted to add that boundary piece in because I think that's an important piece. And you can even put it in a document that you share with those that you're going to work with. If you have clients, for example, here is how I work. And that can be a component of it, so they know. Or it's best if we're going to connect that, Pat, you mentioned Voxer before. If you do or you do not want to use Voxer or email, I had someone say, I don't use email. So if you try to reach me that way, that's not going to work. So helping people understand what that is will really, really serve you in the long run. From professional growth, I guess what I want to add here is that thinking about either enhancing the leadership skills you need to have as you are the CEO of your company, or consider if you want to gain more knowledge about the industry that you are in, or the customers that you serve. That certainly can be a mix of things. And when you think about how you can learn, and Jennifer's going to talk about this in a bit, but I think of a slew of things, such as there are many opportunities and things maybe we've purchased and now they're sitting on a shelf, like an online course because we wanted to learn something new. And maybe it's just, darn it, I bought that thing, I haven't done it. I need to carve out time in my plan next year to make sure I'm taking advantage of that to enhance my skills. There may be conferences or events you want to attend. You may want to consider mastermind groups to become a part of to help you develop, books that you want to read, anything related to that. There can be a slew of different ideas of how you could do development for your personal and professional life. But let's switch it over to Jennifer to talk about what you can share in that space.
Hi, friends. So I'm coming at you from a bit of an academic background. And for those of you who don't know, like Pat says, you smart. Like I've done all the academic stuff, and I still teach. I teach for University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. So I play smart on TV. So the deal is, though, I also I'm an active consumer of learning. And how many of you are like, ooh, I want to learn that. Ooh, I want to learn that. We should probably even have some conversations around what that looks like. Because one of the things that I do find, and I don't know if anybody here is guilty, is that some people use certification as a form of procrastination. Anybody? I see some eyes light up. So the idea is, as Andy Wines would say, do the thing, because if you're just waiting like, ooh, I need to get this certification and then I can do the thing, or I need to finish this so I can do the thing. No, just do the thing. Because some of us came from corporate where all the little letters after our name meant something. And I will tell you, once you hit entrepreneur, in very few circumstances do they matter. Just do the thing. So if you buy a class because you want to, put a plan on your calendar for how to get the thing done. And if you don't get it done, then, save it so you don't lose track of it. But don't forget that there's all these other ways to get that education, and finding this group with the Idea Collective and some of us to brainstorm can really help. And the last thing I'll mention is, don't think you need a big degree or a big certificate. Instead, go for the fastest path to getting that lesson done that you need to get done, to go do the thing. And then if you find later that you need to get more knowledge in that, go get it then. Like just in time learning matters. And if you're looking for stuff to help you be a better business owner, look at your local technical colleges. WCTC does a fantastic job about helping you be a better business owner. And then you should be figuring out where do you go to be a better technician in the work that you're doing. So those are my tips, and I hope you found them valuable.
JB, let me ask you a follow-up question, because when we think of education, many of us think of, like you say, going to school, technical colleges, classes, courses, but you can learn, like you say, just in time learning. Like if you need to know something, there are fantastic courses that professionals make. There are fantastic YouTube videos that you can watch. There are fantastic podcasts that you can listen to. That's all a part of it. You don't have to go get a piece of paper from someone to learn what you need to know.
100%. So on one hand, I did finish my Microsoft certifications this year because they were much cheaper, and I had more time. So it was all about timing and stuff. And then I got qualified as a Microsoft certified trainer, which does officially open doors for me. So that was one that I had already planned on and hadn't made the investment of time and money. Now that was worth it. But I've actually just spent the last hour watching YouTube videos from this dude who used to work at Microsoft, and now he's on his own as a YouTuber. And he's putting all this great content out. I learned new tricks about Zoom that I didn't know. I'm doing a new workshop on Gmail, and he has great stuff. Like I know I'm going to just go to him. I'm going to get all the stuff I can get from him and do a little bit more research and add my spin. And now I can sell that product. Like just in time learning is really valuable, especially from a tech standpoint. That stuff changes all the time. So I don't want to take something that I'm not going to use right away.
That's awesome. Jennifer Buchholz, Excel and Flourish, Business BFF. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. So, Liz, let's go from feeding our mind to feeding our body. Sadly, it's one of the things that many of us ignore. And one of the folks in the IC that's really passionate about that to talk about taking care of ourselves, Cheryl Litvin from First Associated Insurance. Cheryl, hello, my friend. How are you today?
Wanting to puke?
Why? What?
Because as my friend Serena would say, I'm not very good at being vulnerable. And in order to talk about this subject, you have to be vulnerable. So I'm going to share some things with you guys that might be a little surprising.
Well, we look forward to
My
hearing.
face is getting all red.
No, don't worry about it. You're going to be great. All right, Liz, go ahead.
You're in a safe space.
Sure.
I hope you know that.
Yeah. And I've said it over and over and over, just not to this group.
Okay. So you're with a group of small business owners. What do you want to share with them that they can then take and figure out how to incorporate into their year next year?
So I have to start at the beginning, and I'll make it super brief. But 6 years ago, so not that long ago, I was on the couch pretty much all day. I couldn't go out in public. I couldn't speak to people. I couldn't speak to people without crying. I was pretty much a hermit. I was going to the doctor. That's what I was doing. And my health was tanking. I was signing up for procedures that's just what I thought I did. And then I had an aha moment, like, shit, my kids are young. I need to be here for my family. My husband's in the military. Who in the hell is going to keep the family up? So I said I had to get my shit together. So I started, I didn't want to be the person signing up for procedures. I didn't want to be the person who could barely leave the house. I didn't want to be the person who couldn't walk a mile without wanting to die. So I decided to make my health a priority. And I started working out. And it was sucked, like big time. I couldn't even use weights. I had to use my body weight. I had to a 30-minute workout probably took me an hour and a half. It wasn't pretty, but I kept showing up. And I know that you guys were just talking about plans. I needed something, like I couldn't go to the gym because I couldn't leave my house. But I just needed something that I could just check the box and keep going. And I did it privately. So that experience 6 years later is still like, I'm still working out every single day. 6 days a week, but I'm doing things that I never thought possible. I never thought it would be possible to walk into businesses and be like, hey, this is, this, and this, and share, be seen. I never thought I should be able to be seen, or that I had value, because that's how defeated I felt. But doing that one simple thing of showing up for me made a huge impact on my professional life. Not only did it make me coachable, not only did it get my health back, not only am I not signing up for, medicine and doctors and procedures and all of that, but my mental clarity is unreal. Everyone says to me, I can't do what you do. I couldn't do what I did either 6 years ago. You just have to keep showing up. And now in the Idea Collective, I have Michael Creed, who is like teaching me like crazy ass things to even push my fitness further. Teresa and Tanya, we're all there going, yeah, this sucks, but hey, we're showing up. And, working out has some cool, benefits, muscles, whatever. But the mental clarity will do things to your business that you can't even imagine. So that's my 10 cents.
Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing that. Right. And that ripple effect, right?
The
Once
ripple
you take
effect
care of
is,
your physical body, all the benefits that came from that in so many aspects of your life, it sounds like.
and
Wow.
when you're starting out and you feel like you're at the complete bottom, you have no idea what it feels like on the other side of ideas. And even like if I'm walking or running or whatever I'm doing, I get some really awesome business ideas that like, oh, I never would have thought about that.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. And I find that too, that when I'm working on something and I'm feeling stuck,
Just
I
move.
need to go take a walk.
Yep.
Which is what I love to do. I'm the Impact Trail because I love walking in the woods and the forest. I love that. And I find there is so much clarity, right, that you get from that. Once your body gets moving, you're able, the benefit that I get from that is just amazing. So
I'm not the science geek, but I know that it changes like something in your brain. I'm sure there's some smart brain people in here, but it absolutely changes your chemical makeup.
great. Well, thank you, Cheryl, for sharing all that.
And I think that conversation really brings to light what we all struggle with when we're trying to build a business and we're trying to take care of our family and we're trying to take care of our clients. We don't take care of ourselves. And the benefits of taking care of yourself first. Is that important, Cheryl? Do you think of it that way? Your clients are great, your family is great, but you have to take care of yourself first. Is that how you think about it?
Absolutely. And I never did. And, I would just sporadically work out. Now I'm not a morning person, but I'm up at 5 o'clock because that's the only time when people don't need me. And that's my time. Don't mess with it.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful. And as someone that I've known you for a couple of years, to hear you tell the story today is very meaningful. And thank you for sharing that gift. We appreciate it.
Welcome.
Tara Litvin from First Associated Insurance talking about physical health. Let's go now into mental health and money blocks. The person we're going to bring on for that, of course, Ariel Kopek from Harness Your Hindrance. Ariel, hello, my friend. How are you?
Hi, Pat. Doing great. Feeling very inspired by Cheryl's story and what a person to follow. That was pretty powerful.
Great. We're so glad that you joined us today. So for our small business owners, what would you like to share? What are the things that, as they consider making sure they're taking care of themselves from their mental health or those money blocks that they have, and maybe how can they tie that into how they're planning for next year?
Absolutely. So as Cheryl was referring to how your physical health and the little things that you do, just showing up and taking action each and every day makes a huge impact over time. And you look back and you're like, wow, I'm not the same person I was 6 years ago. The same is true for your mental health as it is with your physical health. Putting in practice little things to work on your mental health make a huge impact and really do change your brain chemistry and how you think and how you approach different problems, how you think as a business owner over time. One of the most powerful practices that I'm sure many of you are very familiar with is the practice of gratitude. And they say that they can actually study and see how, when you think about gratitude, when you're thinking about how you're grateful for something, you can't be angry at the same time. It's somehow physically impossible for the brain to hold those at the same time. So focusing on what you're grateful for does bring in that positive focus and mentality, and changes what you're looking for, and what you focus on expands. So if you want your business to expand in positive ways, focus on positive things to bring that expansion. The gratitude changes your attitude, and your clients are going to be impacted by that. One very powerful practice that I know many are familiar with, but cannot be emphasized enough. And also with the focus on your mental health, like you do with your physical health, your mind is a machine. And so oftentimes we think about now that does not mean that you are a machine. You are not a machine. You're a human being with a spirit and a soul and mind and emotions, all these things. But your mind is a machine. And how often do we think about how we have to take care of our machines and make sure that we do shutdowns, restarts, or refresh, make sure it has all the important things that it needs to function properly, but we don't take that same amount of attention for our minds. So the piece of making sure that you're creating capacity for your mind to work more effectively is a very powerful practice. And instead we try to fill up that capacity rather than creating the capacity. Think about how your computer gets worn down if you don't continue to create capacity and clean it out. In regards to the money piece, money blocks, think about how you view money, the lens through which you're seeing it. Our words contain so much associations with one word. Our minds are bringing in 1,000 different associations because of our experiences, our memories, and how we interpret things. So how you view money, how you view your business, the lens through which you see it, it changes your approach to opportunities, your approach to problems, and really the way that you run your business and your life.
Great. Thank you for sharing those. And right, there's so much to abundance, right? If you can see the world in an abundant way, right? And how much that you're going to get back from that and the benefits of that. And truly, when you talk about gratitude and the mindset, that certainly helped me get through some physical challenges that I've had. And then ultimately, like we talked about, the reverse of what we said with Cheryl is, how that ripple effect is also, to the rest of your life, not just on your personal level, but then it also feeds into, how you can run your business. So thank you so much for sharing this really important topic.
Absolutely. And with what you said about abundance there, Liz, just when you think about money, sometimes it's even just the question of, when I think of money, do I think scarcity or do I think abundance? Even that simple question can help to bring up what areas you might think of money as being abundant, in which ways you might think of it as scarce, and how does that impact your business. And Serena, who I know is going to speak next, we're doing mindset for money and motivation, like on those very things. How do you view money? How does that impact your business? So I'm excited to hear that more.
Well, it's great stuff and a great reminder, talking about what's going on inside our head, talking about what's going on with our body, talking about how we're feeding ourselves with education. I'm loving this portion of Small Business Planning Week. Thank you, Ariel Kopak from Harness Your Hindrance Coaching. Thanks a lot. Let's move on to what happens when you're running your business. And this happens to all of us. It's happened to me. You're running and running and running and running and running, and then you kind of just lose passion for the whole thing. You kind of burn out, you're overwhelmed, you're not feeling good. How do you step back and deal with burnout? So Serena Talbot from the Mindset Transformation Company, she's going to come on and talk about that. Howdy, Serena. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm loving this conversation as well. Everybody that's sharing. It's awesome.
Great. So share with us burnout, like Pat said. Yeah, it's going to happen to everybody. So what do you suggest we do? And you know what, before you start, I had a thought. So when I've worked with some clients, I've had a few people that actually, as they look for their plan for the new year, they schedule when they're going to take a personal retreat, right? For them, it's, I need to get away from where I normally work, where my family, what have you. I need to go overnight for a day or two and either have it as a complete personal refresh, or it's a time that they take to just think about their business and just get away. So I know that's one thing that I've seen several clients do, is actually plan that out. So I'm curious if you've, if that's something that you recommend people do in addition, as you think about the burnout.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as we're talking about taking care of ourselves first, it's really paying attention to your energy levels. And I have something very profound to say, that when we feel better, we have more energy. So I know that's going to blow your mind, but it's paying attention to how you feel. So I shared a worksheet, and my goal is that to avoid the burnout is to pay attention to the warning signs. Pay attention to when you're tired, pay attention to when you're frustrated, when you're resentful of people, when you hate everybody, then you need to ask some questions and reevaluate. But what you're saying, Liz, is so good to do. And as we're planning 2021, absolutely do that. What is something you enjoy? Like you talked about walking. A lot of times we don't do things because we're like, it has to be a vacation in Tahiti, right? Or it doesn't count. So what are things you can do every week that feel good? And those are the things that motivate you. Those are the things that keep us going and keep our energy levels high. Our businesses are better when our energy levels are high. And it will be different for everybody, but it's asking different questions and thinking differently. So I shared in the worksheet, really our minds are like Google. So a lot of times we burn out because we're like, oh, I have to keep working. I just have to do this other thing. If I don't do this, it's not going to get done. If I don't do it on the weekend, it'll pile up on Monday. And we're saying things, and then our mind is going, okay, you're right. Like whatever we're saying, our mind is going to supply, just like Google, the million answers to that, right? You plug in a question, you get a million responses. So I just put some different ones. I'm just going to read off. I have the time to do what I need to do, right? We very rarely actually think that or say that. But when you do, just like you plug it into Google, your brain is going to start getting to work on that. It's going to be like, oh, okay. Oh, okay, she has extra time to do what she needs to do, and you're going to get creative solutions about that. And just like you said, pre-planning 2021, when we can kind of tell our brain what we want it to think, that's setting us up for success. It's going to continue. The other is there's plenty of time in the day. I can accomplish my goals with ease and fun. These are like going to mess with you. I make money when I rest. I say this all the time. And, scientifically, like Cheryl was saying, scientifically, it's because you release stress hormones, but mostly because when we're just working and when we're busy, we're in a different part of our brain than when we're creative and thinking. When you're on a walk, you're in the creative thinking part. When you're on vacation, you're in the creative thinking part. So your business is going to have an edge when you go for a walk, you go for a swim, when you read a book, when you play a game with your kids. So training yourself to think that way is going to be really powerful. And then all the resources will show up when I need them to. When I say this, it's just like that, a relief off your shoulders. And then your brain gets to work saying, oh, okay, Serena's going to have resources. Oh, this person pops in my head. So it's really training your mind to it's either working for you or against you already. So if you're saying, I never have enough time, I can't think of anything, I'm stressed out, that's what you're going to get. So plug in things that are going to serve you.
Oh, great stuff. I think training your brain is so key. And right, what you tell yourself, and it's getting into that habit and doing those mantras and things. But boy, that's really powerful. Thank you so much, and for sharing that. Right. So everybody, take that break. Go do something you love, whether it's taking that walk or dancing or whatever. And boy, that creativity is going to come in and really help your business. That's awesome.
Yeah, and on the worksheet are other questions too you can think about as you're going and doing your planning. And then join Ariel and I have to say that.
Well, yeah,
For
you gotta say
mindset,
that.
money, and motivation.
These two are working together now, and you get them both together, which is amazing. And also, if you like what Serena was talking about with small business burnout, she recorded a podcast for us that's up inside the Idea Collective, a what to do if you hit burnout kind of course, and she's just amazing at that. So Serena Talbot from the Mindset Transformation Company, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Mhm.
Before we bring out our final speaker for the day, Liz, I just want to reflect on something. 2 days ago, we were talking about insurance and taxes and money and like really tactical stuff. And then yesterday, we were going into visibility and products and dollars and cents. And then today, we're way inside our head. We're talking about personal behavior. And this is all happening because running a small business is a lifestyle. It is what we make of it. And either it can be something that we do to pay the bills and we're miserable the whole time, or it can be the most amazing, empowering gift imaginable. I'm so grateful to all of these experts for coming on and sharing what they have so far because it's just cool to hear just this. I don't know. I'm just kind of overwhelmed right now. It's just been really cool to have everyone come on and share. And to close out this personal growth part of the conversation, we've talked about personal health, mental health, physical health, overwhelm, but you kind of have to have some personal confidence to go out there and run for office and run your business. So to talk about confidence, Consuela Munoz from Conquer Success. Howdy, Consuela. How are you today?
I am doing good. How are y'all?
Good.
Good. So yeah, here to talk about confidence and what that means as a leader and how you're going to use that to have an amazing year next year.
Great. Well, give us some good nuggets to help us do that.
All right. So because there's so much time left, so I'll just give you five quick things to kind of boost your confidence. So whenever you have, like you're going to do a 5-minute presentation or you've got a bigger presentation or any time where you might get a little nervous and you need that confidence boost. So here's 5 quick things. Number 1, remember to breathe. When we get anxious, when we get nervous, we start taking those short breaths or stop breathing altogether. So remember to try to take some deep breaths, breathe regularly. The other thing is being prepared. A lot of times we want to wing things like, oh, I'm just going to wing it. And the problem with that is it usually falls apart because the nerves take over and now you're out of luck. So the thing is, the more you practice, the more it looks like you're winging it. And that's what you really want. Another thing is posture. So some of you have probably heard of this by now, but doing the Wonder Woman pose or doing Superman pose, right? Yeah, Liz is doing it for me. Right before you have to go into an event, find a place by yourself, unless, you're crazy and you just want to do it in front of everybody, but do that Wonder Woman pose and do that Superman pose. And at that time, if you think back to all the way at Monday when we were talking, love it, Tanya, when we were thinking about our values, here's a quick values exercise you can do. So a value that's really important to you. Think about a time when you used your strengths to have an amazing result that was because of your values. Now, right before this big event, get into your pose. Remember how it felt to do something that amazing before you have to go do whatever it is you're going to do, whether it's, again, presenting or interviewing or whatever it is. I'm missing one, you guys. But then the next biggest thing that you can do, one of the key ingredients to having self-confidence is to lean into your strengths. And strengths, to me, are the things that are making you the most amazing. We've had conversations, here and there about what is your unique thing when you're trying to figure out your niche and all those things. And what is that thing that makes you amazing? But your strengths are something that you're born with and your natural talents. So when you're taking I'm Gallup certified, so there's my certification, Jennifer. But when you have your strengths and you take that assessment and you get your strengths back and they're written for you in black and white, and it's somebody else saying what you're amazing, that is really powerful. And just taking that can help you feel more confident. But the other thing I want to say with that, when we're thinking about planning into 2021 and we have all kinds of different days and all kinds of different goals and things you might be looking to figure out, there's always going to be this default way to do it. There's going to be, so-and-so said I should do A, B, C, and D. But the thing I want to say is take a second, step back. Think about what is the outcome you're trying to get with that goal. Now, think about what are your strengths and how are you going to use your strengths to get the outcome you want. So approach that task from your strengths versus whatever that default way is to do it. Because if you're approaching it in the way somebody else told you to do it, you're probably going to be pushing a boulder uphill the entire way. But if you look at with your strengths, how you would approach getting that task and getting the outcome, now you're going to have smooth sailing.
Awesome
So
stuff.
all those things that can really make your confidence get boosted and help you have an amazing year in 2021.
That's great stuff. Personal confidence expert Consuela Munoz can conquer success. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And when you take what Consuela's sharing with what Serena had to say, what Ariel had to say, what Jennifer had to say, what Cheryl had to say, what Erin had to say earlier on, Liz, I'm a firm believer that of all of the days that we've done so far, if someone were to take the content from today and really lean into it, I think today is the day that would most positively affect someone's small business. What do you think?
I would agree. Right. The thing that we typically put on the back burner, right? If we would just move that up and put ourselves as a priority, right? The change that can happen, right, is amazing.
So, what do you think in all? Like, we talked about team growth, we talked about personal growth, like, we covered so much ground today. Is there anything that we missed, or do you think we hit everything we wanted to share?
I think for what we wanted to cover, right? There's always different things, but our intention this week was here are just some of the things that fall into each of these categories that if you think about it and pause and make a plan for, it's truly going to help you in the long run. So, yeah, I think we covered what we wanted to today, Pat.
Well, it's unbelievable. And we covered so much ground. The experts were fantastic. Your guidance was, and your game plan was really impressive. So we did all 4 days. Now, tomorrow, Friday is kind of our recap, our Q&A. Can you give us a sneak preview of what you have up your sleeve for Friday?
Yeah, I'm thinking let's just quick recap what we talked about, starting with Monday through Thursday. Just highlight those different topics and then, really capture some recaps and some highlights from the day. Certainly would love to hear from folks. I'm curious to see, if folks want to share for the different major categories we talked about. Maybe we can open the floor to in visibility, here's what I'm going to do next year. Not that you have to have detailed plans, but here's what I'm thinking that may be a good thing to put on my plan related to that topic. I think that would be really insightful to hear what people gleaned out of the different ideas, and one that just resonates with you that you want to figure out how to move forward with.
So tomorrow, an entire hour with the strategic planning wizard, Liz Watson, leader on the Impact Trail. If you've got questions, trust me, she's got the answers. So join us tomorrow between noon and 1. Bring your questions and we will recap and get some stuff answered for you. A huge thank you to all of our presenters today and this week. And I'm just saying, everybody that talked, they're all Idea Collective members. So if you're out there trying to grow your small business by yourself, you're making it way too hard. You should really think about joining the group. And I'm kind of messing around with an idea that I'm going to offer a discounted annual membership for folks that sign up by the first of the year. We'll bring that up tomorrow on the call if you're interested. But if you're considering membership, I might have something for you that's a discount in a way that you can get involved and collaborate with these folks for the next 12 months. A big thanks to Liz, leader on the Impact Trail. Find out more about her, LizWatsonImpactTrail.com. But tomorrow at noon is the big finish. Small Business Planning Week. Don't miss it. I'm Pat Miller, the Idea Coach. Thanks for coming. We'll see you Friday at noon. Bye-bye.